Shri Vishnu Sahasranama, name 737, Tat, which means that. And someone might object, well, these are pronouns, these are not names. Why are you imputing the quality of names to them when they're just pronouns? Well, they are in Vishnu Sahasranama. And also, it is accepted by great learned scholars that the Vidvarudhi compared to the Avidvarudhi of all words, the learned persons, enlightened persons, they can understand that all words ultimately mean Krishna. And unenlightened people, they take some unconventional, mundane meaning. The word tat is often found in relation to the word yat, which was the previous name given in Vishnu Sahasranama. An example of this yat tat comes in the Bhagavad Gita, in which Lord Krishna says, Gyayam yat tat pravakshami yaj gyatvam ashnate anadimat parang brahma nasatan nasad uchyate. And here Lord Krishna, what he says is translated by Srila Prabhupada as follows: I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So here, yat tat, which that, or that which, is directly equated with Brahman, and clearly also in the Upanishads, the famous Tattvamasi statement, which is accepted by Shankaracharya as a Mahavakya. Tattvamasi, that thou art, that you are. So that here refers to the Supreme, to Brahman. You are Brahman. That you are. How you are, to what extent you are, that is to be understood. How is it to be understood? That here, that refers to the truth which is not immediately comprehended, but which is to be comprehended by the process, again given in the Upanishads, or indicated therein by the process of Shravan, hearing from someone who knows, who's Tattvadarshi. We have the important word Tattva, comes from the word Tat. It's very difficult to translate. We could say the thatness, the suchness, it's both the essence and the complete understanding of any particular subject. And therefore we have terms like Vishnu Tattva, Vaishnava Tattva, and so on. So Tattva, tat, here refers to that which is not presently comprehended, which has to be understood by hearing from those who know, those who see, literally, Tattvadarshi. They can explain. We are blind. They explain to us by hearing. We can understand that there's Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasana. That is, this is the Upanishadic language. The tat is that which is to be understood by hearing reflecting upon what we have heard and very deeply contemplating. Reflecting here means trying to understand and then very deeply contemplating on that, meditating. In the Gita, the term tat is specifically described in the 17th chapter, referring to the Vedas and to acts of sacrifice that are performed without expectation of any mundane benefit. Om Tat Sat iti nirdesho brahmanas tri vidhasmritaha brahmanas tena vedascha yagyascha vihita pura. So here, Srila Prabhupada gives the translation that from the beginning of creation, the three words, of which Tat is one of them, Om Tat Sat, the three words were used to indicate the supreme absolute truth. These three symbolic sound representations were employed by Brahmanas while chanting the hymns of the Vedas and during sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Supreme. And then just after that, in that's verse 1723 of the Gita, and then in the next verse the pranav is described, and in the verse after that the term tat is explained further. Tad ityana bisandhaya palam yagya tapa kriyaha dana kriyascha vividha kriyante moksha kangshibihi. Acts of sacrifice, austerity, giving various gifts are performed without seeking any mundane reward by persons who want to get moksha. They do so after pronouncing tat. So tat is the key word to be pronounced when one is performing Vedic rites without any fruitive desire, but with the desire to attain moksha. Srila Prabhupada's translation of this verse: without desiring fruitive results, one should perform various kinds of sacrifice, penance, and charity with the word tat. The purpose of such transcendental activities is to get free from material entanglement. In the sankalpa, which is performed, the statement of intent, which is performed before religious rites, within that it is started with Hari Om Tat Sat. The word tat comes. Sri Ramanuja, in explaining this Gita verse 1725, says that whatever acts such as study of the Vedas, sacrifice, austerity, giving, charity, and gifts are done without aiming at results by these are done by moksha kangshibihi, person who wants liberation from material existence. But these activities are done not by the sannyasis, who are generally directly aiming at moksha, Ramanuja explains, but by those in the other three stations of life. So it's for them, they may be not sannyasis, but they're enlightened and they're looking for moksha. And he quotes also that it is in this regard referring to this verse. In his Gita commentary on this verse, which covers the term tat, he says that it is well known, he states, that the word tat refers to Brahman, and he refers to this verse of Vishnu Sahasranama. Satva kakim yat tat padamanutamam iti tat shabdo hi brahma vachi prasiddha. Now, other meanings of the word tat can be taken from tat Tanu vistare, expansion. Tanoti, tat tanoti, vistrinati, that which expands. So what is expanded? Then tat can be taken to mean he, Vishnu, who expands the knowledge of his devotees and their devotion. He helps them. Parashara Bhatta states, Svagyana bhaktim tanoti iti tat. He increases the knowledge about him and the devotion toward him in his devotees. And in this regard, Parashara Bhatta quotes from Taittiriya Narayaniyam, Tat Savitur Varenyam. Oh, it's familiar, isn't it? Tat. That superior luster of the Lord is the cause of the universe. V.V. Ramanujan, another Sri Vaishnava commentator, links the previous name, the understanding he gave from the previous name, yat. He interpreted that as to mean yatate. He takes special efforts to protect us. And he links this tat, tanoti, that he takes special efforts to protect us, and linked with that tanoti, he increases the devotion, the bhakti in us toward him, as it all goes together. He protects us by increasing our bhakti. How can we be protected from falling into maya, into non-bhakti? By increasing bhakti. And Lord Vishnu very kindly helps us to do that. He also increases, another understanding of this tat is that he increases the fame of his devotees. He increases the kirti of his devotees. And as Srila Prabhupada several times mentioned, that Krishna is completely competent to do everything all by himself. He doesn't need our help. But just like Krishna, just by his will, he could have finished the battle of Kurukshetra in a nanosecond. In fact, he didn't even need it to be organized in the first place. He can accomplish whatever he wants simply by his desire. But he organized the battle of Kurukshetra to give credit to Arjuna as being the great fighter who conquered, who over the forces of evil. So this is an example of how Krishna increases the fame of his devotees. And of course, this Vishnu Sahasranama is spoken by grandfather Bhishma, who gave counsel to Yudhishthira Maharaj in the presence of Krishna, as if Krishna seemingly less competent than Bhishma to give Yudhishthira proper counsel. And so in this way, Krishna increased the kirti of Bhishma Dev, and the summation of that counsel is, or the final point is this teaching Yudhishthira this Vishnu Sahasranama, which has become so famous throughout the world. Radha Krishna Shastra explains that he increases, he spreads into everything. He is existent in everything. He expands himself into everything, and in this way, by expanding himself in everything in the material world, he enables the jiva to function within it with the specific purpose of wanting to bring the jivas to himself. Satyadeva Vashishta gives the interpretation that this name means that he expands the jivas into this world. He infuses them or expands them. And although they are very small by size, Keshagra, what is that? Keshagra shatabhagasya shatada kalpitasya va. Jiva bhutas swarupoyam The very tiny form of the jiva is just 1/10,000th the size of the tip of a hair, so very small, but he expands forms for them to, for the jivas, for us to expand our material desires and ultimately to act within this world, to expand our consciousness, to come to him. So in this way, that gives an indication of an upcoming name, one of the very important names, which I plan to speak on at some length, Bhaktavatsala, which is the last name in the verse that we are currently discussing. Out of his kindness to his devotees, he expands the universe so that they can operate within it, so they can come to him. He expands their knowledge and devotion. Also, Satyadeva Vasishta, that gives the idea that he expands the whole universe from its very tiny form to its presently visible form. Relatively tiny, as it comes out in, each universe comes out in seed form from a pore of the body of Mahavishnu. So that's relatively small, relative to the size of Mahavishnu. And it expands and expands. So the expanding universe, the scientists have an idea of the expanding universe. That's one of their current ideas. And that is accepted within the Puranic description. Satyadeva Vasishta compares this to the mother. The embryo is within her womb, and that grows, and then she gives birth to that. It's unseen while it's within the womb. Baladeva Vidyabhushan says, he who extends the happiness, who expands the happiness of the devotees. How does he expand the happiness of his devotees? By giving him, it's unstated here, but clearly by giving himself to them. The Madhva commentary says Vishnu is called Tat because he's pervading everywhere, expanded everywhere, but with the extra comment that he's pervaded with all his auspicious attributes. So in one sense, the whole universe is auspicious because Vishnu is everywhere. He's all auspicious. His auspiciousness is everywhere. Another meaning, that he's called Tat, he's expanded. Well, he expanded himself a long way away. He's far off in Vaikuntha. Another important meaning, and again this is going to cover meanings that have been covered before, so I won't get into it in so much detail now. Tat means that he is not immediately visible to our senses, not available to the mundane senses. He can only be understood through the Vedas. So there we have a few names which are ordinarily not understood as names. Sa, Va, Ka, Kim, Yat, Tat. That's the end of that series. The Madhvacharya, in commenting on the Chandogya Upanishad, he comments on a verse which has the Ya, Sa, and Esha, words which he, Ya, Sa, Esha, Tat, these terms come in this Chandogya Upanishad verse. Sa, Ya, Esha, Anima, Etad, Atmyamidam Sarvam, Tat Satyam Sa'atma, Tat Tvam Asi, Shvetaketo iti. I should have practiced that before. Satya Esha Anima, etad atmyamidam sarvam tat satyam sa atma tattvam asi Shvetaketo iti. So this is in the series of tattvam asi statements spoken to Shvetaketu. Madhvacharya points out that here the pronouns, they seem to be pronouns, sa, ya, esha, tat. No, they should be understood to indicate Vishnu. That Vishnu is called Saha. Saratvat Sa Vishnuhu. This is in Madhvacharya's Chandogya Upanishad commentary. That he's called Sa because he is the quintessence of everything. Niyamakatvan Ya Vishnuhu. Vishnu is called Yaha because he's the controller of all. Apratihita Sarve Charupatvat Eshaha Vishnu. Vishnu is called Esha because he has desires which are never defeated, and then elsewhere we find in Chandogya Upanishad, he is Satya Sankalpaha. His desires are all fulfilled. So Eshaha, this term doesn't come here in Vishnu Sahasranama, but it's a parallel understanding. Tatatvat Tat Vishnuhu. Vishnu is called Tat because he's all pervasive and he's everywhere. Tat Savitu Varenyam. The supreme luster of Vishnu is the cause of the Jagat. And so in this way, Madhvacharya explains these not to be taken simply as pronouns. This brings to mind from the Bhagavatam that all the possible usages of words, or all the different ways in which we can look at and think of the world, they all lead to Krishna. Yatra yena yato yasya yasma yad yad yata yada syad idam bhagavan sakshad pratana purusheshvaraha. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who manifests as the Lord of both nature and the Creator of nature, Mahavishnu. Everything that comes into existence, however and whenever it does so, is created within you, by you, from you, for you, and in relation to you. So there we have yatra, in which, yena, by which, yataha, from which, yasya, of which, yasmai, unto which, yat, whatever, yata, however here meaning in whatever way, yada, whenever. It's all Krishna, leading to Krishna. So, conclusion, when we come across terms like savakakim yat tat, all common words, if we're actually enlightened, we can remember Krishna, because these are not just, they can mean this or that. They are general terms which mean this, that, the other, who, what, why, when, where, all these kind of things. But we should remember Krishna. So the lesson, don't just talk about this or that, talk about Krishna. Whatever we hear, remember Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita also, Lord Krishna has given us much instruction whereby seeing the common things of this world, hearing the common sounds of this world, we can remember him. So this series of names, which is now, I'm just coming to an end of discussing this series of names, Sava Kakim Yat Tat. They're all, everything, everywhere, in all circumstances is to help us remember Krishna. This is the sum and substance of this series of names, that everything is Krishna. Every sound indicates Krishna. Let us always remember Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Dante nidhaya chunakang padayone patya kritvacha kakushatameta bravimi. Hey sadhava sakala eva vihaya duranga ranga chandra charneko.